Hello, everybody. I hope I'm here. I hope you're here too. It has been so long since I've been on a scheduled live from YouTube. I've almost always used StreamYard. So I'm really not sure I'm here yet. If anybody's out there, could you please speak up so I know whether or not you're there? It says I'm live, but I'm not sure. Oh, good. I'm so glad somebody's out there and I really did this. Oh my goodness. It really has been a long time. It took me probably 20 minutes last night to figure out how to even schedule this. And so it's kind of different. It's been, like I said, a long time since I've went live on YouTube without StreamYard. I might have to just do StreamYard next time. It's way easier, but maybe I'll figure it out. So today I thought I would share some of my art journals. And hi, Susie. I went into where they're actually all in the dining room, the bigger ones now. There's some littler ones still in here in the art room, but I kind of did some revamping and I I only brought in like 18 or 19 of them. So some of them I brought in just so that you can see the actual journal. Not that I've worked in it or anything. Hi, Sherry. Thanks for coming, guys. Oh, this is kind of weird to be all by myself today, but we'll get it figured out, right? Right. Okay. So I'm going to start off with I grabbed this one because to me, this is my actual first art journal. Then I remembered this one. And this one really did start before the other one. So we're going to start with my very first art journal. And this is just, you can tell from here. Well, yeah, I guess you can see the lines. This is just a spiral notebook. My very first page right here. We used this notebook with some friends when we were playing pitch. And there is the score. There was a score here. You can see these two lines, and then here, and then another one here. I think, but I'm not sure. Yeah, somewhere in here, I think. And I doodle. I doodle all the time. I've doodled all the time forever. And I just started doodling on that page, and then it just kept going. And this is one of my very well. Thanks, Moni. That I say first. This is the first art journal that's been composed. I doodled on everything. So this is one of my very favorite pages ever. As I go over this, you can probably see some things moving. Okay, so this is the page. And then this is the next page. And this is the next page. And this is the next page. And I always stuck little quotes or stories. This is one of my favorite. The purpose of one's journey is not to arrive at the grave safely in a well preserved body, but rather to skid in sideways, totally worn out, shouting, "Holy shit, what a ride!" Hi, Allie. So, as you can tell, I've done circles for a long, long time. Anybody who's ever watched me recently with the watercolor and the circles, yeah, circles is part of who I am. And so most of this is just doodling. I'm going to just kind of flip through. And I know I always say I do black and white. Sometimes I color, not very often. Thank you. And I like letters, evidently. Like I said, this one has been a long time ago. We still lived in Texas. And so I'm guessing this is really close to 20 years ago. Not quite, but pretty close. And sometimes I put little words in there, but I find myself somewhere in one of my journals of the doodling is I was doing it during TV. And some of, like this one here has why question, and then free to fly on the wings of the world. I don't know where the words come from, but on one of them somewhere, it's like I was watching TV and, you know, there's all those little infomercials and stuff, and some of the quotes they say, that's what is on the pages. So I can't linger too long. So if there's something you really love, holler at me and we'll swing back by it. See, I even did regular doodles with this. I really needed to see this today because I'm feeling like my doodles all look alike, and this shows me things that I have forgotten. Um, it's possible in these that it's a Sharpie because they've all bled through. Granted, it's just a spiral notebook, but I don't think I really had all the special pens that I have now. And there's nothing wrong with the Sharpie. It works fine. I know that the solid coloring in was a Sharpie. I still do that. I mean, and like here, these boots were made for walking. I even put a face in here, and I don't ever do faces. So, yeah, I'm going to have to pull this out and really, really, really look at it again because keep it close at hand for inspiration. I'm getting distracted too. I love the word create, as you can tell. I put that in everything. And I definitely, okay, this was 6806. I don't date often, but I did this one. So that's a ways off. And I was just playing with ribbons. Sometimes I have found myself when I've got an idea, I do just that and don't do anything else to it. Hi, Jen. Thank you. This is the W's, the who, what, where, when, why. And it's, I mean, this is, oh my gosh. Oh, I don't, like I said, I don't do faces. And my granddaughter is 10. She's been drawing faces forever and she's gotten pretty darn good at it. And sometimes I don't know what I'm gonna do, and it turns out like this. And I kind of like that. It's kind of geometric. I have kind of gotten away from that. So okay, so you see this name in here? That's the name of the child who keyed his name in the side of my car. Yeah. I don't know why I wrote it in there and doodled around it, but that's who that is. And again, more words. And then more words, and it's kind of repetitious, but yet it's all different. I know that doesn't make sense, but lots and lots of doodles. This is one of my favorite things I've done, the dragonfly. If the shoe fits, wear it. And my motto, because I can. And the end. Probably the first book I finished also. So now we're going to go into what I always called my first art journal. This is a composition book. This book is the reason I swear by composition books. If you can collage and work around the lines in a book, which they don't bother me, sometimes they become part of the elements. This composition book holds up really, really good. You can tell right here is my spine, so it's a little off. You know, that's because before I knew that you should work a little in the front, a little in the back, a little in the middle. I didn't do that. So we start off with, and I don't even know what's in here, so I might be embarrassed. Because I just don't remember. I did glue pages together. And this is, like I said, this is a napkin. And I just put it on there and doodled around it a little bit. And then these are my collages. And seeing these make me realize how much I miss. I actually have, I did it kind of backwards, a great big mixed media book that I put down all the main images. So then I can go in and do the rest of it. And it's still sitting there. I know some of these are dated. Some of them are just playing, with different stencils or whatever. But this is, this is just an art journal. Who are you going to call? And most of this is magazine images. These are calendar images because I remember the calendar. And then this one is my niece. And that's her hand. And that's her signature. And I want to say she's 24 now. So it tells you how long that is. But you know what? I kept it. And this was just playing with acrylic paints. And probably I was going to do something with it, but I think I probably liked just outlining it all and was happy with that. And yes, there's some I didn't like, so I kind of just glued over and painted over them. And most of the time I take someone else's or magazine images, which are somebody else's, and I draw on them and change them so that they look more like mine. I've actually taught a class on the way I collage, and everybody loved it. So they're going to try to get me into the junior college to teach this fall. So again, most of this is collages. These were just some images of somebody else's, and I just love these little creatures. So they just kind of got their own page just as being saved. I didn't do anything to them. This is a pocket. Again, this was probably something I didn't like part of, so I glued them together, duct taped the pages together. And a lot of them are just the painty papers, and I've never done anything to them. So I suppose this could still be a process, in process. But sometimes those painty papers just look good. Home is where I can look ugly and enjoy it. We all got pieces of crazy in us, some bigger pieces than others. I love misshaped pages, not your normal. Some of my journals are smaller, so we won't all be on. And then, see, to me, this one isn't finished because there's nothing written in the backgrounds, and there's not enough doodling on it. But that's okay. And sometimes I just find things I like, and They have no rhyme or reason to anyone else. And then I think some are pretty ugly. So that doesn't bother me. This has always been one of my favorites. I don't know what it is about that, but I really like that. Oh, yeah, and here's one in progress. This was my Egyptian piece, and that one still hasn't been glued down. So, and a lot of these I have taken and scanned them on my computer and then cut them up, use more of it for collage. This was my grandson on this page and me on this page, 2014. So this is 11 years ago. He was 4. This was some of my attempt at masking tape washi kind of stuff. I love The Wizard of Oz and Willy Wonka. They're both my favorite movies. Because I said so. And that's my favorite thing to tell my children when they were growing up. Because I said so. You know why? Because my mom said so. That's a good thing. Find yourself and be that. That's really a good quote. Oh, this was our drawing, him on one page, me on the other. This is for the girls' bathroom and the boys' bathroom. And sometimes I just found a lot of images of one thing and put it together. Again, this was him and I. And he drew his upside down and he wrote upside down. So, despite whether some of this art is ugly, oh, piece came off. Oh my goodness, I used tape. Can you tell? I know better than that now. You know what, guys? I'm going to glue this down real quick because if I don't, it will never happen. It will not ever get glued on because I don't pick this journal up very often. How does anybody else do that? Do they make something and then it gets put up and you just never really do it again or look at it? It seems like I mean, there's still as many journals as I brought in here today still out there in the bookcase. And I didn't even bring in my best to show journal. But if y'all want to see that, that's on my it's like the introductory video on my YouTube channel. This was 1/3/15. You can tell I had him quite often. And here's another, not even done. And it probably won't because you know what? I kind of like this and I don't know what to put in there. So it's not uncommon for me to have unfinished pages. I didn't realize there really was this many in here. Might be kind of fun to go back and do them now as opposed to how they were done. I'm sure I've evolved somewhere. Again, we shared the pages there. I'm not sure what this story is, but I think it was one my daughter wrote. I'm not sure. So that's that. And like I said, I did have to use duct tape here. And you can tell it's quite worn, but it has went all over everywhere I've ever went. Let's see. Let's do a little one. Well, no, let's do this one because this one is just to show you the journal. I did beads on the spine, but this is like piece of fabric, and I just put other laces and satins and stitched on it and all kinds of stuff, and then I sprayed it with sprays. And so it's kind of my first fabric book, sort of. This is just a bobby pin. I stuck it in there because it looked good, you know. But this is, nothing's done in this. This is just to show you the, mostly just to show you the cover and kind of, you know, see some of the different things. Again, this one is an older one, as you can tell, because it's used a lot of scrapbook papers instead of, you know, painty papers. I'm sure this was pre-painty paper days. And a lot of Kool-Aid dyed papers before I really knew what I was doing, because some of them I really destroyed. And I don't ever do edges like that anymore. Although I did when I'm getting ready for a garage sale, and I pulled a few things into the garage sale that I had to pull back out because I had 2 fabric books in there, and I had done the edges of all the pages just like this. And I decided I couldn't stand it. I had to keep it. So anyway, this was just because I thought it was fun and colorful and looks good from the side. I'll show you the cover. Okay, this is another oldie. I have a lot of oldies, don't I? Guess that tells. Yeah, I'm old. This was when I got my first got my Zutter, and it had these covers. Can you see how yellow that is? The other side isn't as yellow, so evidently it's how it's been sitting. And this is from 2011, and these are just doodles. The whole thing, and I'm sure it was Sharpies. It's a heavier paper, but I'm sure it was Sharpies. Definitely I'm going to pull this one out. This is a handy little reference. We are the choices we make. It's kind of hard to flip this. See, I don't, this is a stamped image, and then I doodled around it, which I think is this. I like that one. I think this is a fun way to use stamps in things. I haven't really done it since, but I do enjoy doing it. These are more in the line of Zentangles. I did learn a few Zentangles. We all know I prefer the word doodle, but the Zentangles are there. And I just think the stamping in there just adds something different. This is a hand carved stamp that I had made, and I just stamped it and then doodled around it. Dang, I did pretty good at some of these, didn't I? Oh my goodness. This is something I haven't done for a long time. This little flower is the one I carved, and I actually still have that stamp. And then I just wrote the word love in all multiple times in each petal, and I really like that. There's something else I could, yeah, okay. I do this still, and I love doing that still. I think that's so cool. I think maybe my imagination's not as strong as it used to be. I still like to do graphic lines and fill that in too. I hope I'm not boring y'all. When you've had enough, to say so. And sometimes I just try one technique. Oh, there's an empty page. So that's a simple little doodle book. Okay, I'll toss in another just because I love the spine. I love this book. Don't use it. And that's the problem. That's part of why I don't really make journals much anymore, is because I don't use them. And I don't like spending I guess it's tied in. That's why I can't figure it out. I don't like spending the time making them and then not using them. I don't know why. I can't explain. Okay, that's how the closure is. These are just the tails. It's tied in here, and there's 2 strands that go over. And this is hand-dyed silk. So I love the spine. And I did the eyelets in the beads. And I love this. If I ever decided I wasn't going to keep this book, I would cut all the beads off and save them. And so this has each individual. Again, this is all scrapbook paper. Lots of sewing. I sewed the pockets, some collages. I don't think there's much in here other than as I made it in here. You know, I haven't done anything in it. I guess I just don't know what to do in a journal. I started in January a written journal, and I've done okay, but I don't think I've written anything this month at all. So, but when I have made journals, I always had this kind of my little 3-piece collage, 3 or 5. I'd love to do little vignette kind of things in the corners of pages. I'm hoping there's something I've done on some page somewhere in one of my journals that inspires you guys to try something different or something new. Nothing fancy to this. It was mostly for the spine and the pretty beads that I brought this one out because I'm really back into my beads again. And so that's this one. And I don't even do the flowery things anymore. So I don't know. You change your likes and your dislikes as you go along. Here is a small one. Hi, Kim. This one is kind of a grungy. And I do grunge a little different than I like color, bright colors mixed with grunge. I don't know why. This one is not so much. This one isn't as old. Lots of stitching. I did some hand stitching with some wax threads here. And most of the papers in here are true vintage. I have pretty much usually only used the vintage ones. I could scan them and make digitals or scan them and use them over and over, but I just don't really. These little pieces are doodles that I have done on Brown's, the kind of tape you have to wet. And I just sat and did a bunch of them, and then I've put them on things. Well, when I did that, I thought, like, this one here is a printable, and I just cut out the leaves. It's just, you got some printables you don't like or you won't use as is, cut them up, draw on them, and then cut them up. Makes a whole new image. And then, there's a little crunch in here and my doodles. And just, I don't know. I like it. This is the kind of journal that you just look at. And I don't know, I couldn't write in this because to me it's just a little mini art journal done in the grungy thing. And then I even did beads on the edges. Okay. Where do we want to go from here? This is another weird one, but I like this one. I'm still working in this one. Okay, so this was a kind of a gardening, it was about Kansas wildflowers, I believe. And my sister gave it to me thinking I would use it as the magazine because it was like this big, you know. This is I folded all the pages in half. And when I did this, she said, "Well, I didn't think you were going to paint over everything." And I said, "Sorry." So, just little stuff, but this is almost all collage like this. And all the pages are folded over and glued down. And then I just kind of papered or, painted on them sloppy just to give them some color and color up some of the cover up some of the magazine. And some of them are just magazine pieces. And then, there's no focal point on some of these. And I know a lot of people art with a focal point. I guess I probably put them in there, but don't realize I'm putting them in there. It just turns into the focal point. Maybe that's what it is. And this is just one of my favorite ones. I took this one around with me. I always like to take something to work on in a hotel if we're going to stay in a hotel. And I know when my mom was sick, I spent a lot of time up there. So, excuse me. I would work on this. I mean, and all it takes is a stack of images, paper, whatever, your book, a glue stick, and some pens. Didn't take a whole lot to do this. You could use colored pencils, or you could use markers. I like this. If you love someone, set them free. Then they become someone else's problem. So some of this, I do still see I still do this in my doodles. So I see a lot of what I still do in these. This one isn't that old. Mostly because pages weren't finished, and I have picked this up to try to finish filling this. And there's still things that, like, she could be more doodled on. And, some of them could use a little more love. So for me in my art journals, they're probably never finished. The one that was the whatever kind of book, I can't even think of what it's. Oh my goodness, I am losing words. I'm looking right at it and I still can't see it. For me, this one, whatever, composition notebook. Okay. This one is finished. I don't pick this one up to put anything else in it. But some of the others I do. In fact, this one, I pulled it off my shelf of partial journals, and sitting right here and looking, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, counting this one, that have still work that could be done in them. This was a magazine image, the whole thing, and I just loved it. Maybe I'll put something on it, maybe I won't. But see, to me, these still there's no shading. And I like the shading in my collages. So these last few pages still have some work. But they got the elements there. This is one I could just take this, a black pen and a pencil and a blending stub and go anywhere with it and work on it. This could be a long process, guys. I grabbed what I like in hopes that, that will be of interest. Okay, this one was a combination of two different videos I seen in some type of class that I paid for. Don't ask me the artist, I don't know, but this is how she did her spine. It's just the same. It's got lots of holes, and I just tied it to get, excuse me, tied it together with different yarns and fibers and stuff. And it's none of the pages are the same size, and I just tore them all. So the closure was one person, and the style of the book was another. And there's painting papers, there's tags, which I don't do tags often either. There's collages, torn papers. I still have some of this painting paper left. Very little of it, but I still have some. And this is, and they're, like I said, they're, all the pages are different. Most of them are torn. A few of them could be cut, but I don't think so. And I love that. I love the odd shapes. And I like that. I still have done some other things like that. And so there's little bits on here, and then there's painting papers and stitching for some tabs. And this one is squared up, so it must have been just the right size. And I, have the muck water like Kim uses right there. And this, I think it's just little bits that's been glued on because I can fill all the lines, but I just doodled on top of it. Color outside the lines. Sometimes there's a plan and sometimes there's not. And sometimes there's stickers. Not very often, but sometimes there is. My journal I'm trying to use as kind of a date book thing actually has stickers in it. Honestly, until I pulled these out, I'd kind of forgotten what this journal was like. So this is kind of just a sloppy, put together things I love and still love looking at it. I could look at this one more often. Thanks. By the way, I want to say that it is possible that I will lose power. We have terrible winds, and they've already published that we are in the area that they may do power shutdowns for a while. High fire watch and all that good stuff. So this one is a tiny little one. It's got magnets to close it. And just so that you know, it's a small calendar. This is, this says, you can read it, dates to remember. And then these were all the pages. And I just folded it and did this and made. And so this again is all my collages, which I've kind of ran away from, but I think we're going to have to get back to this because I say run away. It's just not something I've done a lot lately. And most of this has all been done with glue sticks. Occasionally I see that there's some things lifting, but several years old on some of this. This is good. Some days you just have to create your own sunshine. Nope, this isn't drawn. This is one eye, and this is an eye cut out of something else. And this inspired me to do a full-fledged canvas. It's really long, and it's like the vases, but they're closer together with flowers coming out of it. This one is watercolor paper. And it's 1, 2, 3. Just 6 pages. And this is for the images that I find that I just like, just, you know, me and robots. I just like the robots, which, by the way, I still haven't found the robots Kim and I put together. So I don't know where they're at. And these are just little collages. But they're nice hard pages because they are watercolor paper. Kind of simple, kind of weird. I say kind of weird because the magazine images I use are kind of weird. This one is duct tape on the spine and for the closure with Velcro. And this one is greeting cards, I believe, that I've just painted and then did the collaging on. That's why all the different sizes. And I love masking tapes in different patterns. So, and there's even tiny cards. But it's all greeting cards. And it's, if I'm not mistaken, there's some of them you can kind of, I think one of them I can remember seeing my mom's writing underneath it, but yeah, I don't know if it'll show up. Don't let the bed bugs. Sometimes I wonder about myself. I always like this. You say that like it's a bad thing. So that was just made with greeting cards. Really simple. I don't use duct tape or anything like that very often anymore. Okay. This one I made, and there may be a video for this, but there may not be. I don't remember. This is my kind of a tag book in a tab format. I use tabs and tags and pockets, envelopes, and this is pretty much a junk journal. I love these. My mom and dad both smoked, and my mom collected these. We got a lot of things from this place, Brown and Williamson Tobacco Company. This is real pipe cleaner package, and it's got it's done as a pocket, and so there's stuff inside of it. I use cigar labels for tabs. Most of these have been reinforced or have a tab right close to them. Lots of stitched and stapled, and no rhyme or reason to this one. This one I did have a kit at one point for. And this one goes up. There we go. I should get a shirt. I'm not weird. I'm a limited edition. And then again, in the envelopes. There's some more tags. Little pocket on front here. Little pocket on the card there. And then an envelope pocket there with something in it there. Little piece of tape measure. Actual T-tag. This is actually the tag from when I went to San Diego with I was a traveling companion for a friend of my parents. She took me to meet her grandson. I was just out of high school, barely 18 years old, and she just knew her grandson and I were going to hit it off. She told me he was in his 20s. She told him I was in my 20s. He was 31. I was 18. We had a whirlwind fun time, but, and that was just before my husband and I met. So that's almost 45 years ago. So more tags. This is several little of the coin envelopes together. And then I did the front and the cover, or front and back cover, with kind of cardboard dividers. And there's that part. This one was a fun one to make. This one really was. And I do kind of miss just throwing stuff down and making a book out of it. A little bit. But I'm kind of doing the same thing with my beads right now. So this was a board book. This was a hard one to do. I went in and cut all these pages, and board books are not easy to cut. So again, this is just bits and pieces formed to make what I liked at the time. And I still like this. But each page has been cut differently. And as it's still in the book, that might have been why it was so hard to cut, because this book never came apart. I just decided to cut the things. But it just kind of shows you some of the things you can do that's with nothing. I mean, collage can be anything and everything. While we did the shapes, let's go ahead and do this one. This one is file folders, and I like different, if we haven't figured that out already. This one, again, it's just painting papers. There may be some collage and doodle, but there's still a lot left to do in this one. And each page is different. I cut these, but they were file folders, so a lot easier to do. What was hard was figuring out how they work together to flip. And I love the short pages. So, and I cut the shapes, and I did the painting papers, painted them all, and then put them together. So that's kind of why, you see some of the same colors. And then I did the collage after it was put together. And I can tell you right now that this one's going to stay out, because I think I might want to work on that this afternoon while the wind howls. And I guess I am going through this book backwards, because this quote is upside down. And the cat is upside down. See, this didn't look bad because it's 890, but if you turn it over here, it's 068, and your words are right. So we'll go the right way for the rest of the book. And these are art by Marlene stickers. I loved her little fat ladies. Makes me feel like I'm part of the group. And then there's the front. So another collage. Thank you, Sherry. And sometimes I have to look at things and see if they're pieced together. I have to feel them, and this is evidently one whole image that I've never done anything to. This is cloth tape that I've probably dyed with acrylic paint. Yeah, Every Which Way book. I did not know there was this many mermaids in here. 1, 2, 3. That is weird. It had to. I mean, that's just something I don't remember, having mermaids, 3 pages of mermaids. That's cool. What we see depends on what we look for. Man, I kind of feel like maybe I was wise once. But a lot of it, like I said, is just putting pieces together till it's something you like. And like this, the houses are just left like that. I did doodle the roofs. Oh, I started to say some of the magazines I use are strange art magazines. I don't remember the name of one of them, but one of them was Juxtaposition. And it can be a little bit risque, sort of, maybe. But it is one of my favorite magazines. I don't remember the name of the other one. But when I get the opportunity to go to a Barnes & Noble, I do definitely look for some weird magazines. I do remember this image, believe it or not. This was off of a college pamphlet thing my daughter had. Are y'all getting bored yet? Hang on. I don't even know where my phone is. It didn't show up on my watch, but I heard it. Well, let's just hope it wasn't like a tornado coming to wipe me away. I don't know where that phone's at. I know it's here because I can tell from there it is, under the books. I was gonna pull up the iPad. Let's dust storm warning until 1:45. I was gonna go out after this, but I think maybe we will stay in. So here's another doodle one. Must have had a thing for mermaids. A little more color in this one. I like that one. I used to do a lot of doodles that had swirlies like this around the whole edges. Kind of like this, but I do the whole edges. It was one of my few doodles in pencil. Acid Dream. Oh, what I was using pencil for. This one I This one is drawn on here, so that means I did some masking to get those things to stamp on there. I didn't know I have done so many alphabets. So I'm kind of getting re-educated of my art here. Thank you for that, for asking me to do this. See, this is what I was talking about. I used to do this a lot. Haven't done it for a long time. And this one is colored pencil. 77. Good year. It's the year I graduated. Can y'all hear my wind? Again, I have one last page. I usually have the first page not done, but now anyway. Okay, this one is just another doodle. What would you attempt if you knew you could not fail? I did a bunch of these a long time ago and framed them and sold them. Didn't do too bad with them. Long time ago though. But again, I'm seeing things that I haven't done for a long time. I need to just sit down and pull these out when I'm going to do a doodle. I've been saying I feel like they're all alike. Now I see they weren't, and I need to get back there. Put your big girl panties on and deal with it. Oh, blank page. That was pretty tiny for me back in those days. You were given this life because you were strong enough to live it. Again, this is colored pencils. Being different is one of the most beautiful things on earth. Isn't that the truth? Okay. Let me see what's left. So I have went through most of mine. This is an older one also. Back when I did a lot more mixed media. This is a Hutchinson, Kansas bus token. And I don't know what kind of coins, some foreign coins. I used something to make this cheesecloth stiff, and that's polymer clay, I'm sure. And I have absolutely no idea what is in this. Some of the pages are glued together, just kind of collaged, and this is kind of a art, definitely an art journal. Um, this is my great grandfather. Um, he died when I was just a baby. But this is his name, H. Lewis, and this was the Walnut Creek Milling is where he took his wheat and other grains. And this is a check that he had signed in 1912. So this was ink, stamping ink blocks. I used a bunch of ink early because I sold Stampin' Up! A long time ago. And so, but this one is this wasn't a quite earlier one. It's just things I liked and just playing around. I have always loved hands, and this is background is all stamped. It's one of my best people drawing. Joe Cool. Oh, life is short. I'm heading for the pencil. Again, these are the borders. Like I said, I don't remember. I mean, I did them, but I don't remember doing them that way. So now that's something else that I can do. 9 requisites for contented living. I must have thought that was important. This one is 2 pages glued together. I don't know if the this isn't glued down. This has all been cut out and then glued down to a black background. These are some of the things out of the weird magazines that I get. This is a film envelope. I know exactly where I got this and who gave it to me, and she just recently passed away. So there's some things in here that are, mixture of everything I've ever done, and some of it, I look at it, I'm going, wow. But, it brings back memories and quotes that I like. So it's just kind of an art journal that evidently I thought it was a finished journal, that I just did, but I know what it is. This page, it looks like the envelope stuck in, but it's 2 pages that have been torn apart and then the envelope glued in, so it looks like it was part of it. This one is another one of the multiple. Oh, I'm going to have to take this out and put it in my smoker's journal. I think this was from a sign that my husband had that's got Chesterfield cigarettes. And the end. This is a piece of artwork by my Uncle David. He used to do a lot of digital artwork. He did stuff with his hands. He was paralyzed from the waist down, and they really never expected him to live long. And he lived to late 50s, and he was hurt when he was 18. As he grew older, he was unable to use his hands, and that's when he picked up the digital work. So I think that's all of what I have here today. I hope I haven't bored you all to craziness. I just been talking about sharing my journals, and I thought there would be a few that liked it. Let me grab a couple things real quick, because I do have one other one that I really like. And so many in process. It's just ridiculous. And some of them I'm probably going to end up tearing apart the pages and putting them in something else to fill them up. So this is a class with, oh, come on. You can tell this wind has got my sinuses and allergies kicked up, and I can't even think. Joanne Sharp. This was a year-long class I took with her. It was called Draw Your Awesome Year. It was 2014. So this is over 10 years old. Oh my gosh. So it was a class, and some of the things we were taught, some of the things I've added my own touch to, and that's how you take a class. You learn from the other person's mistakes, and you add to it what you need for you. So these all have washi tape edges, have a table of contents. I am really proud of this. It's the only written in journal that I've really kept. My Life, My Masterpiece. My word for 2014 was slow down. It only took me 3 months to come up with my word. After working in several books, I've realized if I slow down, it looks better. And I actually didn't color something there. Maybe I was not going to. I don't know. But as you can see, I add my doodles into everything. This was January. And this is how she had us make it. We did the little blocks, and this was the day I found out my granddaughter was a girl, or my second grandchild was a girl. And then February was hearts. And of course I had to doodle all around the hearts. You couldn't just have plain hearts. And then March was the leaves. And I liked this so much because I don't journal. I make little bullet notes of the highlights of the day, things, about, when we travel. And I watched Riley a lot through here, so there's a lot about him in here. And this is April. We just did the numbers. A lot of the coloring in here is done with Tombow markers. And here's May. June with sunshines. And all my suns have different rays coming out of them. This was one of my favorites to do because it was my favorite colors. Pink and orange and yellow. And there's July. And there's August with butterflies and dragonflies. And some of them have been colored and some of them haven't, and some haven't been written in. This was Riley's first day of school. This is September. It's supposed to look like notebook pages. And I don't draw often, so I think that's why I like this, because I really got into the class. It's one of the few I've probably ever followed. This is October. And so when I didn't have anything to write, some of them got faces instead. And then, I've written on the leaves too. So this is November. to be grateful. So everything was gifts. And then December was ornaments. Oh, we must have gotten our bender. So somewhere in here is when we got our bender. Because it says right here, Bender dug under the fence and got out 2 times. That's because he hadn't been fixed yet. When we got him fixed, he stopped doing that. So then we had other categories. And as you can see, my pages aren't finished, and I have the numbers there. I don't remember what they were supposed to be. Intentions, goals, and wishes. It's not real. I mean, I did the pages like we were told, but I didn't. Intentions, goals, and wishes at that time wasn't something I really paid attention to. I've always been a just do whatever kind of person. And so anyway, we did, this, it's not like everybody did the same design. We were just given what to put on there and then do it. I did travel and Wizard of Oz nut. I'm from Kansas, so I did the Yellow Brick Road. I don't know that I take the time to do things like this anymore. That's kind of sad. Some more blank pages. I don't know what they were supposed to be. They're celebrations. And this was, that was one of my celebrations, was finding out that I was going to have a granddaughter and they were going to name her Kennedy Jean. And then inspirations. With gratitude. So it's really not finished, but it is the closest to finished that I've gotten in a class. There's kindness and joys. And these are some of our drawing lessons, different things, notes that I've taken, and lettering and layouts and borders and illustrated words, writing party out like it's balloons, and garden with flowers coming up, dimension to shading, and values and foreground and depth, perspective. Still something I don't understand, but the ordinary, and then the photos. And then somehow Riley got a hold of it. And that's okay. I have so much of his artwork. And then there was notes at the end. And that's what some of the pages are, is to put, go have more celebrations and more, to use these pages correctly. I don't even have the Tombow markers anymore. I don't know that I'll replace them because my grandkids have ruined them all and that's theirs now. So anyway, I guess I am done for the day. That's most of the journals that I wanted to share with you today. If you see something and you got questions on it, send me a message. I would be glad to see if I can figure out what I did and answer any questions you might have. So before I say goodbye, does anybody have any questions? Or what are y'all doing this weekend? Any exciting fun at your house? We're having a garage sale tomorrow, given that the wind has died down, because at 40 and 50 miles an hour, it's probably not a good idea to have a garage sale. Well, I thank you all for showing up and going through my journals with me. This was something that some of you have wanted to see, and I personally really appreciate that, because I have my own work to use as a reference now that I'd kind of forgotten about. And the little walk down memory lane was pretty enjoyable for me. So everyone have a great weekend and stay out of trouble And I will see you all hopefully next week. Take care. Bye-bye.